Great.
I can feel it. I can feel it in my bones. It's going to be one for the ages.
I'm having a glass of 19 Crimes wine, so it's on theme.
I mean, I guess. I don't know what the theme is anymore. I don't even know
Crime.
if it's the stream is working. I'm not seeing anything.
I see the slideshow.
Okay, good. Phew. As long as the slideshow's there, I'm...
We got Joe here. We got Kayla here. We got Tony here.
Whoa, it's a full house. Welcome, everybody. I hope you enjoy these hilarious slides that I hand-produced myself.
I hear people.
Can you hear...
Kayla.
everybody can hear Athena, I hope? Say something, Athena.
Hey, hi.
I usually don't like to introduce people in the green room, but I feel like it's necessary for all the technical problems we've been having. So let me ask you, did you do any research on this before we sat down here tonight?
No, just like preparing for this. No, not at all.
All right, so then once we get started, I'll get into it and where we are in the video and whatnot. It's one of my favorite, more recent true crime experiences. You know what I mean? Okay, everybody's hearing Athena.
Okay.
Perfect. Oh boy. No, and so also since the video, like the whole interrogation, I'm going to recommend, but we're going to start about 20 minutes in. Just to get around some of the whole, like, she's like flirting with the detectives and doing a bunch of bullshit lineups that are going to be irrelevant very quickly. So I figured we don't need to spend so much time in the preamble because I know people don't like a slow boil necessarily.
And so she faked her own kidnapping?
Yeah, she did. Yeah, well, you sound like you're coming from World War II now. Yeah.
Okay.
She faked her own kidnapping. I was gonna. Well, I guess we can do it now. A little bit of the backstory. So yeah, Sherri Papini, 2016. She faked her own kidnapping. I cannot believe it. We'll get into it, but one of the stupidest things to happen in modern day, in front, like on a world stage, essentially.
Ridiculous.
It all sort of plays out here in the video because they go over. I mean, when you're dealing with someone who doesn't want to tell the truth, you have to go over every detail to be like, what about this? What about this? So it'll all become fairly clear. But then the performances, oh my God, I've got so much to say, but I don't want to give it all away right now.
So this is kind of like a reaction video then, since I don't even know what's going on.
Yeah, sort of a reaction, sort of breakdown. I'm fairly versed with interrogation and true crime stuff, so the stuff that I do have sort of references to, I'll let you know. Plus, I know a little bit more about this case than you do, so I'll bring a little of the backstory when necessary.
See, this was all planned. It was so you would have more time to talk.
Yeah, guaranteed. I mean, you could have been like, hey, guess what? I did a lot of research and I've got a lot to say, but here's where we're at.
Exactly.
And lucky for me, I can fill a vacuum of silence.
Kale says I didn't get to pre-watch this one, so it's all going to be a big FFOP surprise miracle.
Oh
for
my
me.
God. I will try not to spoil it because it is the lead up and like the wind up and then the pitch is just like, gah, and then it's just like thing after thing after thing happens where it's just like, how is this real life? You know what I mean? Good God. All right, let me switch to the, we're going to be starting soon here. I'm going to try a new stinger too that I made, but it doesn't look very good. Oh man, Sherri Papini. I cannot and since it wrapped, here's the thing. It's going to be a drop in a bucket or maybe even a drop in the ocean because all the true crime YouTube channels I watch have already done Sherri Papini, and even before she got sentenced and all this was released, people have been covering it. So I am fairly versed in it, and it is hilarious is all I can say.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. We should just start.
Yeah, I'm just getting everything ready.
Do
You're
it.
listening to FFOP Radio.
Reach the audience.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the show. My name is Dave, and this is a Wednesday Night Live thing. And boy, oh boy, you heard it in the green room. I am excited for this one. Let me introduce you to my co-host for this episode, Athena of Bewitching Spirit, back on the show. Welcome, Athena.
Thank you for having me.
Now, so are you into true crime, or is it sort of a laissez-faire thing, or am I just sort of forcing this upon you?
No, I'm into true crime, but I've been watching a lot of shows on streaming, and so it gets really dark. So I have to take a break and like kind of filter out all of the true crime. So I kind of been bouncing back and forth, but now since it's getting into Halloween, I'm gonna be watching a lot of dark stuff. So I've kind of taken a break from it because it's pretty heavy.
It can be, yeah. So so I'm glad we're doing this with you because number one, it's essentially victimless. It's not like a murder, right? Like nobody died. There's no gory details. Like a family wasn't rent asunder by, some maniac in the night. It's basically just like she caused an inconvenience and then burned a bunch of government money.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So it's nice and light, nothing too heavy because, yeah, you're right. True crime can get dark. And maybe that's the thing, too, is now that there are so many genres of true crime, you can just be into like drug crime. Like I've watched a lot of interrogations around people who were actively high or looking to get high. And they're just as compelling as the murder ones because it's still a raw slice of humanity and someone dealing with, some heavy shit.
Yeah, that's true.
Typically. So yeah, here's what we're looking at. Zoom, here it comes. So what you're looking at here, the guy in the bottom right there, that's Keith. That's Keith Papini is her husband, right? So he, spoiler alert, has no idea it was fake at this point.
What?
Yeah, no idea. So, yeah, spoiler alert, you're going to see that play out, sadly, on his back. But, yeah, he is about to get a gut punch that, you can only imagine.
So they have a great marriage.
So here's a little bit of the backstory of Sherri. She, whatever you want to say, my alleged opinion or whatever, all the stuff that I've watched about her basically implies that she is completely delusional and like a pathological liar. And the word narcissism has been thrown around, but the moral of the story is if you can stare reality in the face, which she will at one point, and just bold-facedly lie, that's where we're at.
Mm.
So, enough chatter. Let's get into it. So I've cut, again, we're about 20 minutes into this thing. Just for some context, these are our FBI agents. They're federal agents. They will do something that will annoy the shit out of me, and I will get to it. But they basically brought him in to be like, hey, good news. We've got some new evidence, right? This is 4 years after the kidnapping. The story is, yeah.
4 years? What? Okay.
4 years, because here's the story. Keith comes home from work, sees that Sherri's iPhone and headphones are by the mailbox. There's some hair ripped out. He calls in a missing person. She's gone for 20 plus days. She shows up on Thanksgiving, her hands tied, yelling at passing traffic. And, her story is that these two Hispanic women forced her at gunpoint into a van or an SUV. I forget. It doesn't matter. And they took her away and they tortured her and they cut her hair and they branded her and they starved her and they did all kinds of crazy stuff to her, right? And so CNN picks up the story. It goes crazy. So she's holding all of this. We can't find the women. Like there's no evidence. She's describing all of these things and yada yada yada. Here's the thing: they found some DNA on her clothes, which linked to an unknown person, right? They threw it into the DNA database of everywhere. Few and far between were not missed. So finally, they get a sting, not a sting, but a hit on one of those familial DNA, like 23andMe or whatever, is like the police are now having access to. So they found a link to somebody, and I don't want to spoil it because it's the turning point in the video. So we're going to find out who the kidnapper was and what the fuck's up with that right after this.
20 says alleged kidnapping.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Oh, no, she's been convicted. Like, she gets sentenced, or she starts her sentence next month.
So the order is correct, but you don't recognize the bathroom as being what you would call.
Okay, so yeah, here's the thing. Little context. They are showing, so after they just got done showing her a lineup of Hispanic women, and she's like, maybe this, maybe that, maybe that. They're now showing her pictures of the actual place she stayed. And so what she's doing is like, this is similar, but this isn't. So it's going to be a lot of bluster, and you just have to catch up. But they're talking about a bathroom right now where she was allegedly chained and allegedly tried to scratch her way to freedom with a screw through the wall. It's going to get crazy.
Kayla says, I both like and worry about there being a DNA database of everywhere.
Right? Because if you're a victim, they can at least find that you were killed. But if you're anyone else, then anybody can track you down by your DNA. Here we go.
Do you remember about the shower that you provided previously? About the type of something on the tile or something like that? Do you remember
That
any
there
of
was
those?
tile in the tub? There was a crack.
Where was the crack? It's not a memory test. If you don't remember, that's fine.
Look at how
But
she's reacting already.
We remembered that detail when we took some of these photos, and we were just trying to bump it up against what you might remember.
I don't know.
She's just acting like a weird child. Like a...
In general, are we talking about?
Well, because here's the thing. She's looking at a picture of the place. So she must. Like,
She's
even though
freaking out.
her facade is not going to, crack at this point, obviously, because she doesn't want to say it was all a gag after 4 years, internally, she must be screaming, even though the lies must, continue.
Like, did she think they would just forget about the fact that she was missing for 20 days? And just be like, no, you were kidnapped, but you're fine.
We'll get to it. Let me move my video here because I'm blocking
You're blocking Keith.
and I don't want him to get blocked. Pew. So yeah, but that's the thing. It'll play out, and I'm trying not to spill too much too soon. So stay with me, people.
Fine.
That's okay. You take your time.
Take your time, you
I know.
motherfucker.
I know. I remember there's a crack. I'm not.
So for like trying to, do you remember if it was high or low? Was it any of those like details?
Horizontal, vertical. One tile, lots of tiles.
In every interrogation, as long as the person isn't like super stupid, they'll start doing shit like this where they go, oh, I don't remember, because they can't charge you for not remembering, but they can charge you for lying, which is another thing that we missed in the beginning of this interrogation. He goes, hey, thanks for coming down. You're here voluntarily, obviously, and just a reminder, it is a federal offense to lie to an agent. Anyway, have a seat. So-
Can I talk or not?
Sure.
I,
Unless she tells you she.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm trying to get myself there, and
just
I don't.
as a reminder, I do remember when we went to my grandma's house.
Mhm.
You didn't like her tile because it reminded you of that. I think I sent.
You sent us the picture.
Yes.
That's why I would say we.
That's
remember.
why I just want to remind her, because if you think of that, because I can't even think of what her tile looks like right now, but I do remember you didn't like that at all.
So just take that in, right? He is saying, hey, like her lies are so fucking deep and intricate, like to be just believable, just to add detail upon detail, because that's what liars and pathological in this nature do, is like, oh yeah, Like, she went so far as to be like, I don't like your grandmother's tile in her bathroom because it reminds me of the place where I was abducted to.
That's just like, I don't like going to your grandmother's house. That was her way to never have to go to his grandmother's house again.
And like,
Right.
and feel for this man right here, because he is still invested in his wife. No matter all of the alarm bells that have been ringing. And at the end of all this, you know, there have been interviews where he's like, yeah, I kind of knew. So even he's like, yeah, I texted that to you. I took a picture of it. And like, he is still in it to win it as far as like bringing whoever did this, quote unquote, to justice. This poor bastard.
Yeah, he should have ran.
It's and you'll get to see it because it gets pretty good during the end. And obviously he reacts like most humans do, or rather would, which is refreshing, frankly, because not for nothing, if you watch a lot of these where a relationship involves people who have been entangled in the criminal justice system, that just becomes the norm, and it becomes that toxic cycle of in and out, and I'll take you back, and now you're out, and blah, blah, blah. This, you know, is their first encounter, so we don't have that luxury, sadly.
But I can't remember. You told me crap, but I don't remember where you told me. Or else I'd bring it up. But.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm so nervous of like saying something that's not gonna be right. So I just can't remember. I don't know.
That is a straight up indicator that someone is bullshitting you again. Like when people say, they go, oh, you know what? Because a victim of a crime, right? Especially when like this, where you've been abducted for literal days. Like this wasn't like, oh, I was missing for an hour and a half and I got really spooked. She was gone for like 22 days. So someone who is the victim of a piece of trauma of such like, you know, girth as this, you wouldn't be like, oh goodness, I hope I don't mess up these fine details because I'm just so scared I won't. Like, what are you scared of, really? What's the legitimate reason for your fear here? It's just like, I know it probably, like, it happens so often. It happens for a reason. I just don't understand why the people using it don't see an issue with like, oh yeah, I'm really serious, you know, double, you know, pinky swear and no backsies and all that shit.
I swear, I'm not lying.
Direction is obviously not the best.
Into
That doesn't look right to me. But
So this crack is in a different location than this crack, which is probably better viewed in this photo.
Okay, so all this crack talk is really interesting, though. But so you see the hands gestures that Sherri is doing. Basically, when you present yourself palm up, is like you know, it's usually a gesture of innocence because it's a. I can't remember if it's a low confidence or high confidence. Palms up or palms down. Moral of the story is when you're presented with your palms up, you're looking for reassurance. Because I just watched a video where they talked to this woman who's like, she was adjacent to a crime. And she's like, you know, legitimately wondering what's going on. So her palms are up and like, what's going on? This, you can see her body language is not matching this palms up. Like, I don't know. She is totally hunchback of Notre Dame over, like not making eye contact. This is a complete like, no, I just want to get through this. Put your head down, say no to the details, and let's get the fuck out of here because I don't want to go to jail.
Yeah.
This is the first step toward cracking the case.
Yeah. It's a lot of these guys will do a lot of things to the extreme. I feel like
this is right here talking about a goddamn crack in the tile.
Yeah, and I'll just turn it down so we can get past the crack talk. But in law enforcement, you have to do that because there are so many decantings and recantings and procantings and uncantings, and the story can do this, that, or the other. And I guess it really helps if on film you can say, okay, yeah, you said 37 times in a row, yes, so let's go with that. But still, it seems needless.
If we could go back to the closet really quick, though, I remember when you were talking about being chained into a closet and trying to figure out a way to get loose. You talked
Footloose.
about working on a screw, right?
There we go.
And what happened to
There's the
that screw when you were done with it?
I dug a hole in the wall and poked it into the wall.
Okay. Because this is...
Okay, so here's the thing, too, for backstory. She is, you know how most good liars realize that if you mix truth in with a lie, it's a lot more believable. So when she was describing the place that she was abducted to the police and other law enforcement agents, it was based on reality because she was describing the actual place she was abducted to, which I get. If you make up a story, it's hard to remember fake details.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems not smart, but it seems at least there was some planning here of like, hey, I won't have to, like, I will never get caught in a lie if I just give the truth away here, because I'm not going to say who abducted me, but I can give away details of, like, because houses have certain things in common and who is ever going to find them, right? Wink, wink. And here we are. I don't know. So
was the purpose of the crack, is that where she dug the hole, or why is the crack even brought up? Is that where she found the screw?
Yeah, so here's the thing. I don't know why she actually did this shit, because why? But yeah, she either there was a hole in the closet where in the place that she was staying, or she actually did do this, which is like she found a screw. And like I was saying before, she tried to escape via like essentially Shawshank Redemptioning it, like getting a small, sharp thing and like digging to freedom. But it's a house, right? Like you're not going to dig through a wall slowly and have your captor go unawares. You can't put a poster over that shit.
Right. I think in one of the other breakdowns that we watched, I think she said that it found the screw somewhere and like the hole wasn't there before. She made the hole.
Yeah, so who knows? Like, why would you do that? I don't know. Like, so here's the thing. All the things she tortured herself with were she stayed inside to get super pale. She stopped eating. She had her captor, who she was in cahoots with, go to Michael's and buy a wood burning kit to brand her. She cut her own hair. She used harsh chemicals to clean the house that she was staying in that gave her a rash. Oh yeah, she broke her nose. She was hit with hockey pucks and stuff. It like above and beyond what a normal liar would do. But here's the thing. Everybody has someone like this in their life. Not to this degree necessarily, but you know those people who are like always gaslighting or always telling lies that you don't give a shit to bust?
Mm-hmm.
This is that person to 11.
There's a hole in the closet, dear Lisa.
Yeah, dear Liza.
Liza.
Dear Liza.
Is this in the closet?
That's in the closet.
No, it was drywall.
It was into the drywall.
It was into drywall. But
So what she is saying now is like, yeah, oh my God, is this the closet? The hole
Right?
the hole that they're looking at, I guess, is in some wood paneling. So what we have here is the like, aha, it looks like the same closet. Aha, it has a hole in it. Oh, but dang, my hole was in drywall. So yeah, sorry, wrong closet.
Sorry.
What and like kudos to these FBI agents not to just like, you know, obviously they see this every day, so they're built up a tolerance, but the average person would jump up on the desk and start flinging their shit like an ape to be like, are you fucking kidding me here?
yeah.
Okay.
So close, though. So close.
So we're showing you all of this
Okay, finally, we're getting to it. Here we go.
because ultimately this is the house.
Oh my God, here come the
that
analogies.
you were at.
That guy's so
We brought you
excited.
the people who live there.
Yeah, look at him. Like, because here's the
So
thing.
excited.
Keith is still invested in this as a real situation. Like, and then you can, obviously, it's emanating from him like a tuning fork, right?
Yeah.
So, number one, buckle up for his emotional journey because you're going to have to watch a couple of things. You're going to have to watch his emotions being played out, Sherri sitting like a lump, and the unending and ridiculously convoluted metaphors that are going to come out of this crappy buddy cop combo.
So Kayla asked, question,
Yeah.
why did she do this? Was there a ransom attempt or something?
Negative.
No.
There was never a ransom. There was never any threats made. This was out of the blue, and she came back.
She just wanted a little vacation with some...
The story is
Yeah.
the younger of the two abductors, these two Latino women. There was an older one and a younger one. The younger one pointed a gun at her and said, "Get out of here."
Yep.
And so, by the benevolence of the younger captor, she was let go. And does that sound believable at all? Like, even a little?
No.
Yeah. No ransom? Like, come the fuck on. And so, whatever. Again, it's been 4 years because it happened in 2016. You can obviously see the date up here is 2020. She just got sentenced this year.
Yeah. 6 years went by and she was...
Bonkers. But let's get into it.
Sorry.
Look at him. Oh, God.
We
sad.
found the house. We found who was involved. We talked to who was involved. We talked to family who knows that you were there, and talked to a couple people that, talked to one guy who did see you during this event. Unfortunately, there's a lot of truths. There's a lot of things that were said that we have always confirmed. That we've always said. There's a lot of truths, and then there's some unknowns. Like one of the simple ones, like, well, this description of the bathroom is just weird. Like that was like an argument in all of our offices where we were sitting there like this part's weird.
Which is, yeah, he's right, because here's the fucking problem. We missed it earlier in the interrogation, but there's a lot of bathroom talk because they showed her pictures of the bathroom. And the bathroom is weird because the way she describes it, like in most of our houses, when you open the door to a bathroom, the closest apparatus to you is a sink and the toilet and then the tub or shower or whatever, typically, right? Mm-hmm. The thing here is, in this bathroom, it was toilet, sink, tub.
What?
So, yeah, instead of sink, toilet, tub, it was toilet, sink, tub. And so that was one of the peculiarities that got her ass. Like, it was one of the nails in her coffin, essentially.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, that's a weird thing.
Why describe the bathroom except to make this incidental, oddity known?
Right.
And here they are, be like, oh, that's why it was so weird to literally every law enforcement officer everywhere who ever talked about it. And she has to be like, fuck, I could have just skipped the bathroom, right? Like, who cares where the toilet was, Sherri? Whoopsie.
Poor Keith is like rubbing her shoulder.
Yeah.
She's got some osteoporosis going on.
He is so pumped for
the
this.
whole thread through the thing, that's just weird.
It's unique to this place. Like, that's a pretty custom. You can't just go out to IKEA and buy a closet that looks like this.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So once we have all those things and we start talking to the person who lives here, who had lived there, who still lives there, start talking to his family and starting that whole investigation, peeling one thing back after another after another.
Her foot's starting to go.
We've done for the last 4 years.
So listen to what he is saying here. In no uncertain terms, he has said, hey, found the person who did it, talked to people he lived near, talked to members of his family.
Yeah.
And you remember how Keith was like, oh boy, since Sherri has sat there like an arthritic, octogenarian, he's like, what's up?
Yeah, now he's sitting back. He's not like sitting forward like, oh, yeah. No,
Yeah.
he is sitting back and he's shaking his foot.
And these guys, like most police officers, are going to do a nice soft play because they don't want the lawyer card pulled.
Right.
So I understand why they have to do this, but we're like not even a quarter of the way through their goddamn metaphors. We haven't even reached the castle yet.
Oh, man, the castle. But realistically, I don't think she would have ever called a lawyer.
No, she totally does. Like, well, spoiler alert, but here we go.
But not an SUV. So there's lots of different aspects that are truths and falsehoods. And we're to the point now that nobody would have ever imagined that this would have blown up the way that it did. So been a cop 15 years. I've never seen the media.
Number one.
Drinking game.
Number one, yeah, it exploded. Number two, if you're playing interrogation bingo, he brought up how long he's been on the force. I have got to get that shit put together.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, so yeah, like look at her reaction. He's like, hey, I've been a cop 15 years, yada, yada, yada. What up with that? Oh my God. Just watching this can put you in a stress knot. And keep in mind, like at this point, no real crime was committed aside from just like making people run around a bunch of fields looking for your corpse for a few, but here we go.
That this garnered pretty quickly. You've been in law enforcement now.
12 years in the Bureau.
So, like,
backing it up.
Minds, Brian, who's been around 20 plus years, people who've been in my office like 25, 30 plus years.
Why do police get such hard-ons for how long they've been copping?
I've been copping
Jesus
for so long.
H. Christ. And like that's the thing, to get up to detective status, you got to be doing it a while. So you got that built in. Like, yeah, I've been doing this 10 years, 15 years. Like, nobody fucking cares. Like, I imagine, because like essentially cops get to be normal people, like society's parents. Imagine if one of your parents was like, hey, I've been parenting for 16 years. I know a thing or two about, like, what the fuck are we doing here? Stop talking about how long you've been doing your job and let's get out of this rut.
That this got out was insane. So I think with that being said, some choices and some decisions ultimately changed the original path of what happened. I don't think anybody would have wished the media frenzy that occurred like for this event, no matter what the situation. If it was a kid, because the media skewed so many facts. It brought so many people in from the woodwork that if we didn't have the woodwork, we wouldn't have the noise.
Another thing too. Go ahead.
Her husband is so uncomfortable. You see how much he's fidgeting?
Uh-huh.
And he went from not being that way to like now like way uncomfortable about what he's going to say.
So all this talk about the media, here's the thing. After she popped back out of this fake kidnapping, guess who did not show her face on TV for 1 single second? Miss Papini. She sent this guy. Poor Keith did a million interviews. He was on CNN. He like cried legitimate tears in front of the nation. And now he's sitting here having to go like, wait, what are these guys saying? Like, so yeah, I imagine being in either one of these guys' position, or guys and girls, and then to have this soft sell of like, okay, so the media, they spun their thing. We're still getting, building in steam.
When you get that kind of screw.
So we'd like to talk to you more about those things, and we can do it with Keith here.
Oh, here we go.
We can ask Keith to leave. It's whatever you're comfortable with, so we can break down some of the problems. If you want Keith here, all we want is to have the truth. All we want is to be able to tell the truth.
Bingo.
That's all we've ever wanted from day one. We've talked with you for hours. We've been there. We've done all these different things, waiting for something, waiting for it to break, waiting for us to get.
It's getting defensive.
Something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You can see she's starting to back up, and she wants to do the self-soothing like body hug, but that's the wildest part about this is like, since we live in a shared reality where some things align that are unassailable, we can sit here and go, oh, look, here's a timeline of what happened reasonably, whereas someone like this can look that in the face and go, no, but it does not stop them from knowing the truth. I don't, how much you want to lie or how much you want to put up your defenses. I refuse to believe that someone of this ilk is so delusional that they believe their own bullshit. I mean, in the moment, maybe. In the moment when no one is calling them on it. But when you got two law enforcement, one federal agent, one detective staring you in the face being like, here's a big mountain of evidence against you, to stare in their faces and go, yeah, I don't know. Yep, that's not my story. Is not that, but your narrative is compelling too.
I've known plenty of people that are like that.
It's crazy, right? Because you want to grab him by the shoulders and shake him and be like, "Don't we live on the same planet?"
Yep.
But that's what whatever you want to call it. Pathological lying or gaslighting. It's all manipulation of one form or another in a toxic way. So, it's all the same thing. We just change the name over time, and here you see a professional example of it, where it's these guys' job to break a liar, and they can't. Like the seasoned liar will not budge when it comes to the seasoned breaker of liars. Because force of will in someone who's completely detached from reality has gotten to be monumental.
Oh, I'm sure.
It mind-boggling, but that's why we watch.
Mm-hmm.
The DNA to a specific person. That told us very specific things. His family then told us specific things. So if we can talk with Keith, or without Keith here, what would you like?
She's going to defer to him and be like, huh? Like, oh my God.
It's completely up to you.
A whole life of spinning nothing but lies and getting away with it, because essentially who's going to call you on it and hold you accountable to any degree in a personal situation? This is like a magnifying glass on an ant, right? This, I'm at least one of these people who call liars on their bullshit. I used to work with a guy who said that he was one of the guys who was in the chopper that went down at Black Hawk Down, despite being the wrong age and a bunch of other things.
And not like dead.
And not, well, obviously they didn't all die. But the moral of the story is there's people out there who call them on their bullshit, and usually you get to just roll it off because they're non-consequential.
Mm.
But when CNN gets involved and your husband cries in front of a whole bunch of people, and, you get embarrassed in front of Oprah, head's got to roll.
And I wanted you to have a voice. I wanted you to make decisions. I wanted you to control.
And this whole thing, we're like, should Keith leave? Should he stay? I feel like they indulged this way too long.
I want you to take back control. That's one of those things. This is that take back control of the interview, which I promised you to do the first time we talked, if you remember that. Actually, we were in Mount Shasta, so the second time we talked.
It's been a long road, Sherri, but we just want to talk to you. We can have Keith step out if that's going to make you more comfortable.
But it's up to you.
So what we're watching here also is an inverse interrogation. Usually they are, trying to get information out of the person, obviously, because they say, well, what about this? What about that? They have something that is juicy. Don't get me wrong. It is juicy. And I don't understand why they're doing this, like, should Keith stay or go thing, because literally they are law enforcement and crimes have been committed, right?
Yeah.
I don't understand. Like, maybe they think with her in control of, like, getting him or out, she'll be more pliable or more willing to talk about it. But at this point, they've done their homework on her, and they know, like, they've talked to her ex-boyfriends, who everybody who has ever known her is like, yeah, she lies about literally everything. So this whole dance around the Keith thing is like, should he stay? Should he go? I mean, what do you think it's going to, is this useful, Athena, in your point of view? Should they be even entertaining this poor bastard?
No, not at all.
Exactly. Like, this is like, again, it's kind of like getting in trouble by your parents. Like, do you want your sister to leave? Like, what?
If she doesn't answer the first time, well, screw it. Just spill it out there. She obviously doesn't care, so just spill it out there.
And again, like, maybe they were wanting to build suspense in themselves. Maybe they're showmen in their own right. Who knows?
Do you want to step out or do you want to stay?
Obviously, I want to stay.
the natural answer. So why ask, Sherry?
Right.
Right.
Or we can do a little bit of both.
Right.
Talk to your own first and then have them come back in.
Tony says they want a confession. They're trying to get her comfortable and ditch her pride as long as he's still there.
Right, but that's the thing. Like, it's such a delicate house of cards that if she does make a move, it will fall. She says nothing, or she says he can stay, it falls. She says he can go, it falls. She is a Schrodinger's criminal, right? Because they're in like this weird headspace of they won't give her the evidence that they need to confront her with to start this process. But there's Keith in the box with the poison and the atomic atom, and Sherry's the one with control over the box.
Yeah.
So yeah, she is desperately hanging on to this like a drowning man to a log. But again, like, what the fuck are we doing here? You got your law enforcement. Like, Keith's an adult. Everyone here is an adult. He was on CNN. Get over it.
So we can get help control things, how crazy things got. So the
I do think it is interesting and probably a good move on their part. They bring up the idea of control. It's like, when we tell you this, you'll have control over it. And for a narcissist, like, who doesn't want a nice slice of that shit?
But I'd rather give you the opportunity to hear things, be able to judge it, because at everything, right, I'm saying things to you that are making you nervous. It's making Keith nervous. It's changing the element, right? We changed the tone of the interview.
You can feel it already in the room from the way you walked into it.
Now that you know now that you know we know everything.
So
things are shitty.
Well, I mean, law enforcement has always been an issue, so.
Okay.
So if you want Keith to leave, I'll ask Keith nicely to leave. If you don't want Keith to leave, then he can sit here and
Let's
listen
press
to you.
on. Press on.
And we'll move on to the next stages.
Come on, baby. Let's do this. Rip the
I wanna give
Band-Aid
you
off.
that opportunity first.
Is he going to open that brown notepad?
No, they already know. He knows. Like, they're just gonna once it breaks, you'll see what happens.
Obviously, everything's fearful. If you tell him to leave, and what I'm going to say is benign, then he's gonna. We can pull him back in the room.
Buckle up for the
Like,
castle
hey,
metaphors,
come
'cause
back
they're
in.
close.
This is what we talked about. So there's that fear of him wigging out. Why is she trying to hide something from me? There is none. If you can help me.
Yeah, there's no trick here. We're just trying to make sure that
Yeah,
you're as comfortable to talk as you can be to talk to us, truthfully.
They're asking you. They're not asking me. Obviously, I would want to be here. And wherever
Hello,
I'm at.
And you can change
McFly.
your
They're
mind
gonna hit her on
in
the head.
future, too. If you
But no
want to
matter what,
change
it's
it,
going to be up. So.
like I said in the beginning, you're free to go. So if you wanted to.
And what a horrible place to be, right? Free to go. When you hear a policeman say that and they are situated between you and the door in any small room, like, it's impossible. I've seen so many interrogations where "you're free to go" has been uttered dozens of times, where the guilty person sits there and sweats for hours.
I mean, I want to know, like, how often does it happen where people get up and leave?
Career criminals and people in like gangs always do. Like, there's a good a piece of interrogation footage of a guy at a biking club who, walks that line, but all the ones who have been through this shit go, "No, give me my lawyer."
Yeah.
But most true crime revolves around people who have not been through the system, and she has to pretend that the police and her are on the same side. So, what do we do?
Getting up and leaving would look suspicious.
Yeah, so here we are in no man's land, waiting for someone to open the box and kill this cat.
But we want to talk to you.
And we can leave the room.
Oh God, I forgot about this part. Here,
next
it's
stage of
juicy
things
too. Here we go.
Could be benign. Could be like, we forgot to tell you this, or oh yeah, all of these things make sense.
Laughable. P.S. From me in the past seeing this to telling you in the future, oh, we knew about that. Fucking laughable.
Now, I could tell you the puzzle that makes it all come together, or I can tell the puzzle that crashes everything apart.
The castle
I don't know
is
what
coming.
that piece is, honestly.
God.
All I know is facts. All I know is certain specific items that will either tear the castle down or is going to build
There we
the
go.
castle up. And I don't want to, tear the castle down and not give you, I don't want to tear the castle down and not give you, I don't want to tear the castle down and not give you, I don't want to tear the castle down and not give you, I don't want to tear the castle down and not give you, I don't want to tear the castle down and not give you, I don't want to tear the castle down and not give you, I don't want to tear the castle down and not give you, I don't want to tear the castle down and not give you, I don't want to tear the castle down and not give you, I don't want to tear the castle down and not give you, I don't want to tear the castle down and not give you, I don't want to tear the castle down and not give you, I don't want to tear the castle down and not give you, I don't want to tear the castle down and not give you, I don't want to tear the castle down and not give you, I don't want to tear the castle down and not give you, I don't want to tear the castle down and not give you, I don't want to tear the castle down and not give you, I don't want to tear the castle down and not give you, I don't want to tear the castle down and not give you, I don't want to tear the castle down and not give you, I don't want to tear the castle down and not give you, I don't want to tear the castle down and not give you the ability to then fix your own castle. Even
With all this castle talk, it's hard to get a straight point. Here's. I'll cut through the bullshit for you. We found male DNA inside your underwear, Sherri. We're going to tell you who it is. We've spoken to him and his entire family. What'll this do to your castle?
You don't have a castle, Sherri. The police have
if
a
it's
castle.
just a small or it's the whole castle, I want you to choose that. So we can step out of the room, let you guys talk, because I don't know what information I'm going to do, if it's life-changing news or if it's, oh yeah, everything's fine. I just don't know what it is.
You know what it
usually,
is.
right,
It's
show
going to
the
be
pictures
life-changing.
Because everybody's invested in this picture. Keith, do the drawing.
Oh, yeah. This makes my disappearance for 22 days completely benign. Thank you, detective. Let me get my hat and my coat.
I'm going to just walk out.
The fuck?
He's the one. So Keith has always been a part of your memory for small details. And that's why he's been in here this whole time. And that's why.
He makes me feel safe in you.
Well, if he makes you feel safe too, we can continue on.
What a disgusting thing for her to say.
Yeah.
And again, I just don't know what the pieces are. So if I would say, hey, this is going to bring the whole world down, I'd tell you, that's going to bring the whole world down. And then we need to talk alone. Or I would suggest we talk alone. But that's completely up to you guys because I don't know.
I just want to talk to you.
Yeah, we'll be right back.
Okay.
BRB.
So, yeah, they're about to step out. Now, get ready. If you have been through this with a family member, I'm going to let this roll, and we'll stop it at the end when the detectives come back in because you have to experience it as a chunk because this is the closest of what we're going to get to them interacting organically as a couple. I realize they probably are aware there's audio and video being happening. So she's got a very thick veneer up still, but like buckle up for the ride of a lifetime with someone who is not interested in anyone but themselves.
She's preparing herself. She's already pulling the tissues.
Yeah.
You need to stop what you're doing and tell me the truth. I don't like anything that's happening. Yeah, whatever you're doing, it doesn't mean stuff to me. Okay, the bus that guy knows about what's going on, so you need to explain to me. I don't give a shit about that. I don't want them to find her. I don't want them to find her. I don't want her to be arrested. I don't want to press charges on her. I don't want to find her. Explain to me right now. I don't know. I don't want them to find her. You're not listening to me. Tell me why. Because she saved my life. But tell me, honey, there's obviously something going on. There's obviously something going on. Tell me this is going to be really bad if you don't tell me. Look at how talking right now. I am fucking with you. No, that's not me. I don't want them to find her. I don't want to press charges, and I don't want to go down that road. But you tell her? I don't want to go down that road. I don't want to arrest her because she saved my life and she's the reason why I get to hold my children every single day.
Wait, she has kids?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I think two. I haven't confirmed because it's honestly not important. The fact that she is procreated at all is a tragedy beyond tragedy for them, simply because society will have them marked unless they change their last names. Woof. So sad.
I don't want them to arrest her. Why? Because she saved my life. So you don't press charge? They still need to find out who it is. No matter what happens, you think just sits here? This comes out and they find the house. It's over. Whatever happened is over. And it doesn't matter what you say. The girl's gonna get in trouble. So, you need to tell them the truth. Everyone the truth. If you don't want to press charges, then that's up to you. I don't think I can do that. You're not making sense to me. To the point where I'm getting scared now. So you need to tell me what's going on immediately.
Are you dressed?
Whew. So let's break that down a little bit, right? Holy shit. So you can see he is still, like, Keith is a salt of the earth kind of guy. Despite everything, he's still holding out hope that something about his life is salvageable. And just look at how toxic she is. Like, at first, if she doesn't get it with brute strength, she starts crying. If she doesn't get it that way, she's just like, let's, like, the tactics on display here are gross.
Yeah.
So just to add a little context too, the person, the woman they are talking about there, if you couldn't hear it too, the young woman who pointed the gun at her and let her go, that is who they're talking about. So even though they said they have male DNA, they found out who he is, she's still like, I don't want them to find her. She is clinging so desperately to this Latino woman lie that, like, and I see what she's doing here. She's like, I don't want to press charges because of this bullshit story where she saved my life, even though, spoiler alert, she was one of my captors. Whoops. But, and Keith is like, yeah, what the fuck is up? And you're starting to scare me. But, like, at this point, like, I mean, if we're going to talk about, like, being scared in the situation, I'd be fucking terrified. Like, at this point, you're like, I don't want to find my captors, so let's just drop it after 4 years.
Yeah. Kayla says, knowing what we know after the fact, listening to this is amazing.
It is, what a ride.
Joe says it's wild how quickly she starts to manipulate it back to him, almost as a, how dare you suggest they press charges on this woman?
Yeah, it is so, and that's the thing. A lot of, it's just like, okay, I'll liken it to this: wearing a reflective vest and a hard hat. If you act the part, people will let you walk into places you shouldn't be allowed. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people in society are meek. And so if someone comes up and acts like they belong or acts like this or that, you take them at face value. And that's what she's done. She's gotten her whole life just by being the person who is just kind of a pain enough to deal with that no one wants to call her on her lies. And so now here he is having to be like, no, what the fuck, man? And she's like, I just want this to all go away.
I'm going to go hide or put my hands over my face and you're invisible.
So she's going to cling to the one side and reality will come crashing in. Let's see how the two meet, but it's not good. Spoilers.
Well, I can talk to him and tell him later. Thank you. Do you want me in the room or not?
And obviously,
Hopefully you've had a chance to chat briefly.
the fears,
Later, maybe. But I'd rather you
Nothing-
just answer the question.
nothing that I'll say to you, I won't eventually tell him if you want me to.
Do you want me to just tell him what your fears are?
And yeah, what a brilliant point the detective just made is like, hey, guess what? This is going to unravel the whole thing. So guess what? All this bullshit was pointless because, oh, yeah, doe. Why we do that?
We would love to hear what you feared, because we want to be able to address them as best we can.
I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like you're in the driver's seat right now.
I think it's easier to control things once you know what the information is, to be honest with you, Sherri. So I can tell you what it is, say what it is when Keith leaves, and then you can say yes or no,
Joe
whether or
says
not
it's a
you want
thing.
him
She
in there for the
must
rest of
just
it.
beat
Right
him
now,
down
he's just-
mentally, like on a daily basis.
But here's the thing, too. Since she is essentially like super hot, like I'm sure that cashed a lot of checks, too, because an average looking liar probably doesn't get as far. But if you're like a Sherri Papini, blonde hair, blue eyes, 110 pounds or whatever, like every random, middle of America's dude's like perfect woman looking. Yeah. A lot of people are going to be like, okay, yeah. Like how many people have put up with toxic relationships because the person happened to be hot?
Yeah.
Yep.
Like that story of her life, God damn it.
And I'm to the point where if you want a conversation.
As long as you're not interrupting her.
Just do it. God, pull the plug on this thing.
Kayla goes, does I'm being honest with you count
But
on
if he steps
interrogation
out, I can
bingo
say
if
a
it's the
name.
detective who says it?
And then you.
Yeah, because they both tell each other that they're being honest with each other, and they'll implore one another to be honest with
I'm
each
adding
other.
it to the.
You want him in here for the rest of it or not? It's completely. Or I can just continue on and again.
Look, Keith
I
is
said,
like
I want you to always
loosening
have
up. He's like,
control,
God damn it, let's get this show on the road.
over certain aspects of stuff.
I don't know.
We're not to a point where anybody's going to jail yet. We're not to a point of anything like that. We're just still at the talking stage. We're at the control stage.
You seem scared, Sherri.
See what just happened there? Like, that was subtle but lethal.
You seem scared, Sherri.
No, before that, where he goes, we're just at the talking stage. Nobody's going to get arrested yet. Like, the implication of that alone, like, explicitly, it would be less scary if they said, we're going to slap the cuffs on you right now. But to say that we're at the talking stage and we're not yet at the arresting stage, like...
Well, they could have been referring to the young Hispanic woman. We're not arresting anybody yet.
No, they're not. Whatever. No, but like this is aimed directly at Sherri's heart, and it hit because look at the state that she is sitting in right now.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, are you afraid? You better believe she's fucking afraid. But what's her answer? We'll find out right after this.
What is it?
Look at Keith. What is it, Sherri? Check out that Kleenex. Just make it last a little longer. Longer with Big Red.
When you don't answer, Sherri, it makes me concerned because I want to hear what your answers are and I want to be able to understand.
The only way to control things is for us to know.
I don't want you to find her.
And look at that. Like, just like she looks over at Keith, she's like, yeah, you know what? Fine. I've cried. I've stalled long enough staring into this Kleenex. I'm going to tell you what I told him. I don't want you to find her. As if the law works like that, right? Like, I realize there are some crimes where you don't press charges. But, like, a domestic abuse, let's say, like, bam, somebody hits another person and the cops show up and they go, oh, I don't want to press charges. They go, okay, fine. Now imagine if after that hand hit that face, they spent 4 years and hundreds of thousands of dollars researching the slap, investigating the slap, doing aerodynamics on the slap. Somebody has got to pay for that shit. Like, humans love, having someone to foot the bill at the end of all of something, and this is where we're at with Sherri. Like, I think it's funny they're still entertaining the idea of, like, you know what? We're just talking. We're not arrest yet.
We're not going to find her.
She's the reason why I get to see my children.
This bullshit.
I agree, but we're not going to find her.
She's the reason? What do you mean by that?
She means the younger one let her go. Right? That's what you're referring to? We're not going to find her.
I wonder why.
And we can just skip to the rock into the water and ruffle up the pond if we want to now.
Oh my God.
Again,
the castle.
This is your last opportunity.
Yeah. I don't know why. It's obviously not for Keith's benefit. It's for nobody's benefit other than just, like, I feel like they like yanking her chain a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's a difference between like the salary detectives and the hourly detectives. Because I swear to God, some of these detectives I watch who do these interrogations are salary and they're trying to bust them out as fast as possible. They don't give shit one, but they're good at it and they're lethal. These guys feel hourly to me, so they don't mind going around the castle mulberry bush and then taking a step by a pond to throw a rock in and then putting a puzzle together. So yeah, they're probably on fucking golden time or something.
Yeah, there's a thing where you can get extra time with police work, and I don't remember what it's called.
He should just like look at Sherri and be like, I'm gonna be honest with you, Sherri, I'm making $226 an hour right now. So if you don't want to do shit except for stare into your Kleenex and see if you caught a booger or two, let's do it.
Tony says Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah.
There's the last with Keith. Keith's been through this also.
Oh my God, Keith.
On a different level. So I'm ready I'm ready to move on and throw the dart and throw the rock.
It's almost dinner time.
Yeah, look at Keith's making hand motions. He's like, do it.
What do you want?
I don't want her to get in trouble.
She's not going to get in trouble. So the DNA came back to James Reyes.
Boom. Now, who's James Reyes, you may ask? James Reyes is her ex-boyfriend who she contacted via burner phone and handwritten letter to orchestrate the kidnapping.
Wow.
And that's the first time that Keith here is hearing it, and goddamn it, we can't see his face, but the back of his head looks fucking angry, right? James Reyes. And here's the thing. This poor guy, from all reports, is like one of the nicest dudes ever who should never have gotten entangled with Sherri. Because he literally got nothing out of this except possible criminal charges. He didn't get money. He didn't get sex. He didn't get any recompense whatsoever for hiding her out in his house for basically 2 weeks.
Joe says, now we can fill this metaphorical moat with alligators if we wanted to. Drop that drawbridge, if you will.
Yeah, seriously. Like, I love their use of metaphors. Let's get the fuck on with it.
The DNA that was on you, James Reyes.
The picture, can I get the picture? The picture of the table is James Reyes'
Look at her,
little
look at
brother.
Keith.
He died recently.
How she looks at him, yeah.
Oh.
We talked to him. He's been on a polygraph. We talked to everybody.
Okay, so keep an eye on her when she moves. What a lot of interrogation people point to in these situations is anchor points. When you're sitting in a chair, you're anchored at 3 places, typically the back, the ass, and the feet. Her back is against her purse, so we can call that a wash. But the fact that she moves her feet all the time and is constantly shifting in her chair, like when you see that with other, repetitive stress movements or whatever, those are clusters where you can see people are lying. But since she's not talking, we just see her wriggling like, and nothing has been asked of her yet. It's just like, hey, here's what we found. And now we're going to, and it's so methodical. They're not excited about it. They're just like, oh yeah, hand me that folder. Like, so here, this is his brother. Like this is just, it. Yeah, this definitely blew the castle up a tad. Mm-hmm. But they're like, okay, this is the thing. Here's a picture of the thing. Like, we got all these written affidavits. Literally, remember, we talked to his entire family. Jesus Christ.
We have the rental agreements, phone rental, the car rental agreements. We have everything that says that he said he told the truth.
That's James' brother, deceased Nick.
So everything, so many truths in this situation. The reason why you can describe the room is because you stayed in the room in the dark for hours, for days on end.
Yeah.
The reason why you lost so much weight is because you stopped eating.
Yeah.
The reason why you got a rash on your arm is because you cleaned his house.
Also true.
The reason why the brand is because he went to the store, bought the branding tools and brand.
It like, this case is so crazy. That's one of the details that you can overlook. But she got fucking branded.